Hello everyone. In this lecture, we will see Macleod vacuum pressure gauge. A vacuum gauge is a device which measures the vacuum of a given measurand or a given medium. So the vacuum, the absolute pressure is given by atmospheric pressure minus this vacuum pressure. Vacuum pressure is nothing but negative pressure. When you subtract the pressure measured by the instrument, the gauge, and that value is removed or subtracted from atmospheric pressure. The pressures which are less than the atmospheric pressure are vacuum gauges. Now, Macleod pressure gauge is used to determine the vacuum gauge. Here, this Macleod vacuum gauge, it consists of two limbs. Here, limb 1, limb 2. The construction is like this. You have a capillary. Limb 1 is it is a capillary tube with a bulb here with increase in a volume here. It is to compensate the losses or the disturbances. Next, the limb 2, the second limb has got this type of structure. Over this, we got readings, and this is a reference column, and again this is also a capillary reference capillary tube, and this reference column will help us to overcome the capillary losses. If you find any gaps, air gaps, or any losses in the capillary tube, that can be recovered with the help of this reference column. And the structure is like this. Here you have got a slight bent, and the material, the pressure, here we have mercury supply in a cylinder, and with the help of piston, we are going to operate this machine, this gauge. Now, the principle involved in this Macleod vacuum gauge is Boyle's law. Boyle's law is the pressure is inversely proportional to the volume at a constant temperature. P1 V1, here it is equals to P2 V2. Here we maintain temperature constant, and P1 V1 of a gas initially, where P1 V1 are the pressures of the gas, initial pressure and initial volume of the gas, and P2 V2 is the final pressure and final volume of the gas. And by using that formula, we will calculate the applied pressure. Now, coming to its operation, first of all, the gauge is, it is not completely pumped with this mercury. Initially, the mercury will stop here. We call this as cutoff point. At this cutoff point, the mercury is stopped. And this operation is done with the help of this piston. You have a handle here. So manually you can use this, you can do this operation by pushing this handle. With the help of handle, this piston will move in downward direction, and the mercury present here will slowly move through this pipe capillary, and it should be stopped. It should be stopped at cutoff point. The pressure applied here, the push applied here should be controlled such that initially the liquid is stopped here. That mercury, the liquid form of mercury is stopped. That's why we call this as a cutoff point. Now, we should expose this to measurand where the applied pressure, that pressurized measurand or the substance or a fluid, it can be a gas, that will enter through this reference column, it enters through this reference capillary, and it will also enters into this primary or first capillary, first limb, that is measuring capillary. We call this as a measuring capillary. So we allow the fluid to enter into this capillary also. So then so at that time the applied pressure will be P1 and this volume is known. Our intention is to trap the gas in this limb. Next, so this volume is known already. Next, slowly, what we will do is we will start pushing this piston in downward direction such that this mercury level goes up, it will increases. When the mercury level is increasing from this level cutoff point, it enters into this right limb as well as this left limb. So in this case, and here as soon as the mercury enters into this bulb, the gas will get compressed here. The trapped gas will get compressed into this limb. As a result, we should pump in such a way that this height, it will be coincides with this marking, and when this gas got compressed, we will get the final states of final properties of that gas, such as P2 and V2. So as the gas got compressed and it got changed its properties from P1 V1 to P2 V2, and the process is taking place isothermally, then P1 V1 is equals to P2 V2. By using that formula, we can measure the value of P1. A small note here, H is an indication of both V2 and P2. This H is an indication of V2. We can find the V2 value, this H into this cross-sectional area, that is V2. And P2 is the pressure, compressed pressure inside the limb. So that pressure we can find by using weight density into H will give you the pressure P2. So this is how the operation of McLeod vacuum gauge takes place. Coming to the applications of McLeod vacuum gauge, it is used to determine the vacuum pressure of an unknown measurand. Now, the advantages, it is independent of gas composition. It serves as a reference standard to calibrate other low pressure gauges. It is a standard instrument. It is used to calibrate other low pressure gauges. A linear relationship, there is one more advantage here. a linear relationship exists between the applied pressure and H. Applied pressure and this value of H, there is a linear relationship, and there is no need to apply corrections to the MacLeod gauge readings. There is no need to apply any corrections. It means we have no errors are minimum, quite minimum. No, because this construction itself is minimizing almost all the errors. But there are certain limitations to this. The gas whose pressure is to be measured should obey Boyle's law. Basically, perfect gases or real gases may get some deviations, but they do behave like perfect gases, ideal gases. So in that case, it is very easy to use this MacLeod vacuum gauge. Moisture traps must be provided to avoid any considerable vapor into the gauge. Moisture traps must be provided to avoid any considerable vapor in the gauge. So there should not be any moisture traps. So they must be considered to be, the traps must be provided to avoid considerable vapor into the gauge. Vapor should not be enter into the gauge. So that is one of the important caution that to be taken while we use this MacLeod vacuum gauge. But one more limitation, it cannot give a continuous output. That is what the major drawback of this MacLeod vacuum gauge. It will not produce the continuous output. It means it is having some hysteresis effect. Hysteresis means the effect of previous outputs. The output has got an effect, is influenced by the output, is influenced by the previous inputs, previous effects. Then such type of limitation is there for this MacLeod vacuum gauge. Next, we enter into the thermal conductivity Pirani gauges. Thermal conductivity gauges, in that we have Pirani gauge and thermocouple type conductivity gauge. Thermal conductivity gauges are it depends upon the principle that the dissipation of the heat from the conductor into the gases, and that takes place depends upon the conductivity of the gas and the material that is having. Faster the rate of heat dissipation from the conductor, faster will be the cooling, and if the greater will be the cooling, the resistance will vary depending on that. Depending on the change in resistance, the pressure will be calibrated. So that is the basic principle here. It is thermal conductivity of the material. Thermal conductivity in turn is calibrated with the pressure. In Pirani gauge, we have different resistors. So this is a Wheatstone bridge. In this Wheatstone bridge, you are having measuring cell, Pirani gauge chamber, compensating cell. This is compensating cell, and this is to the recorder. And here it is an applied pressure that is taking place in the to the cell through this passage. and we have a filament, or it is made up of platinum. This is a filament, it is made up of platinum. Now, in this, these are the parts of a Pirani gauge. Very simple. We are having a Wheatstone bridge, and in Wheatstone bridge, the known resistances are kept here. A, B, C, D. We have the resistors. When under null position, we can determine the resistances like A by B equal to C by D. So by using this, we will find under null positions only, we can find out the resistances. So coming to the variable resistance, depending on the variation in the resistance, we find out what is the pressure, what is the pressure of the given measurand. Here we have two cells here, important cells. One is Pirani gauge chamber. It is specifically designed to measure the pressure, where the fluid enters with high pressure into this. Next one is compensating cell. Into this compensating cell, this will adjust, or this will adopt the circuit for changes in atmosphere. If you find any changes in the atmospheric temperatures and pressure suddenly, and this equipment must get adapted to this compensating cell. So this compensating cell function is that to make the environment to be suitable for always suitable. The changes in the environment must be clear and suitable to make this Wheatstone bridge for measuring the vacuum pressure. Now these are the parts of a Pirani gauge. Now coming to its operation. The Pirani gauge is subjected to applied pressure, that is unknown vacuum. This is applied pressure. Now the gas enters into this chamber, Pirani gauge chamber, which is where you are having a conductor made up of platinum. It is bare and opened to the gas that is entered into the gauge. As soon as the gas enters into the gauge, there will be a change in density of the surrounding atmosphere. Depending on the change in density of the surrounding atmosphere, the resistance of the conductor will change. So that is how it will happen. Actually, how it will happen, the reason behind this is, when a current carrying conductor definitely induce some heat in it, H is equals to I square R. The current carrying conductor will be possessing some heat, that is H is equals to I square into R into T is the time to which the current is flown. So if the current is continuously flowing through the conductor, the temperature for a long time, the temperature of the conductor do increase. The temperature of the conductor do increase. We have already seen in resistance temperature gauges, thermometers, as the temperature increases, the resistance of this particular material will change. When the temperature increases for a conductor, the resistance will also increase. When the resistance of this conductor increases, the change in resistance from the normality will be calibrated to determine the pressure of the unknown applied gas. But how the temperature is getting affected by this applied pressure? This is what is our subject. When this gas enters into this chamber, the density of this particular surroundings of this platinum will change. When, for example, the gas entered already, then depending on the density of this gas entered will be in contact with the surface of this platinum, and the heat that is generated in this material will get dissipated into the gas. If the density greater the density, greater will be the dissipation. Depending on the density, the heat dissipation will be there. Depending on heat dissipation, the rate of cooling is affected on this filament. So greater the cooling effect, lesser will be the change in resistance of the material. So and vice versa. It means if the density is more, the rate of dissipation is more, and the rate of cooling is more, resistance change is less. If density is less, the rate of dissipation is less, the heat dissipation from the conductor into the material, into the gas is less. So the rate of cooling is less. When the rate of cooling is less, the resistance of this particular material in the Pirani chamber, that will increase. So when that is increasing, resistance increases, and that can be calibrated. So depending on the value to which the resistance of the material got increased from the initial value of the platinum conductor, the pressure is calibrated. So depending on the resistance change, pressure is calibrated in this cell, Pirani gauge chamber. So this is what is the operation of a Pirani gauge takes place. Coming to there is a note given for this one. Higher pressure, higher will be the density. If the gas is coming with higher pressure, the density of this material of the gas will be high. When higher is the density, higher will be thermal conductivity. When density is high, the thermal conductivity of the material is high. So from this material, heat will be getting dissipated into this material. So it will absorb the heat at a faster rate from the conductor. So that's why it is said that higher will be the conductivity. Then higher is the conductivity, then that will reduce the filament temperature. Whatever the filament we are having, the resistor we are having, it will reduce in its temperature. When the temperature is getting reduced, the resistance of the filament will be less. So it will not get, we won't get much deviations as it get reductions in temperature from that of the atmospheric values. So we'll get the same resistance values. So in that case, we should remember that the pressure is high. So by the change in the resistance of this filament, we are able to recognize what is the pressure that is there in the chamber. Coming to advantages of this Pirani gauge, they are rugged and inexpensive. They are not much expensive. They are inexpensive, give accurate results, and we will find good response in the to pressure changes. Means the responsiveness of this material is good. Responsiveness means how quickly the this instrument, Pirani gauge instrument, will respond to the change in the pressure. That is responsiveness. So we have a good response to the pressure changes. Next, the relation between pressure and resistance is linear. for the range of use. The relation between pressure and resistance is linear for the range of use. No, but there are few limitations. The limitations, they must be checked frequently. The values means we should go for the repeatability of the material, whether we are having, whether the equipment is giving the proper results or not. So time to time, it requires a proper calibration. And they must be calibrated for different gases. For different gases, they must be before itself calibrated for different gases. And it is not an active type of a transducer. It is an inactive type of transducer because we require electrical supply from outside source. We require to give some power supply to the circuit. When we give electrical supply, power supply, so based on which this equipment will work. That's why it is an inactive type of gauge. And so this is how this Pirani gauge works on the thermal, the principle, the basic principle of thermal conductivity of the material.